So I'll say resume will get you shortlisted or get you a call for the interview. But before the final decision is made, most of the people will go to a LinkedIn profile.
Today, I'm joined by someone who has shaped careers across continents. Mr. Ramit Tyagi, seasoned hiring leader. What goes on the other side of the hiring?
The way you shake a hand, that starts creating the very first impression.
Non-verbal cues. Do HRs pick up, instantly?
Always reach before time. How do you introduce yourself? How do you carry yourself? How do you dress up yourself? Resume is important because it covers your educational or professional journey so far. LinkedIn is what you live as a life in the professional world.
What defines a strong corporate image?
It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. We all like to work with people who may not need reminders. You might be very senior, you might reach certain levels in your career, but never forget the people who help you reach there.
What is it something which really stands out above the skills?
When I say well-dressed means something that makes you feel more confident.
Quick actionable tips that you would give to young professionals walking into the interview.
Ask some questions after the interview. What do you do after failing is what defines your next future.
Your biggest interview pet peeve. What's one common myth about first impression you would like to bust today? Your go-to interview prep tip the most people forget. We will talk about what it really takes to build the first impression from interviews to internal growth. Namaste and hello to everyone. Welcome to India's first podcast dedicated to image, style psychology, and art of first impression. I'm a host, Ruchi Raj, a fashion technologist turned image consultant and founder of Poised Presence. And in this space, we don't just talk fashion, we talk about presence, identity, and the art of intentional dressing. And today, I'm joined by someone who's very special to me because I met him in my first job and someone who has shaped careers across continents with over 20 years of experience into global hiring and having worked with multinational companies. I believe Mr. Ramit Tyagi, who is currently the hiring leader for the Indian team for a US based SaaS company, will definitely add on a lot of insights into the first impression and the importance of image when it comes to hiring. When it comes to corporate image, I believe we will gain a couple of insights which might be handy for all of you who are looking for some help, some starting point in their careers. So, my first question to Mr. Ramit.
Thank you so much, Ruchi, for such a warm welcome, such a great introduction, and happy to be here with you today.
I am very excited to just, bring out and pick your brains actually on, it's a golden opportunity for us to kind of decipher what goes on the other side of the hiring, what goes on the other side of the thought process and the perceptions, right? Before starting with anything or any questions, I think we will go to the very core of what we are going to talk about. So, in today's episode, we will talk about what it really takes to build the first impression from interviews to internal growth. And we learn all these insights from a seasoned hiring leader. So, the first question is why first impression matter, right? Let's start with the basics. What is first impression from the corporate context and the corporate point of view? In your perspective, as a hiring professional, what does first impression mean to you?
So, Ruchi, we all have learned from the very beginning first impression is the last impression, first impression is the best impression, right? We have been tuned to that from a very early days of all our lives. Uh, what I can tell you, there is a starting point for any conversation, any interaction, any relationship, in fact, So that's the reason we all call it out so important for all of us. First impression is the image that's going to stay, right? How did somebody, and you always will keep carry that first image, first, and even a thought would come out of an image that we saw from somebody. And that's the whole perspective that why first impression is so all the more important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the image that remains with somebody forever. And it's a starting point for anything that's going to take up after that, that's going to happen after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that's the language that's spoken even before you speak, right?
very true.
Before
Very
we
true.
speak with our words, that's the language that's spoken and that conveys. So
Very true, and I think it includes everything, right? I mean, how do you present yourself? How do you introduce yourself? How do you carry yourself? How do you dress up yourself? So while we go deeper into these things, I think that's inclusion of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I think this just proceeds to the next question, which is kind of continuation to it. Is how early do you think any individual or any professional should start working on their first impression, or rather their image per se, for the especially for the professional world out there?
While for a professional world, I think it's the starting point is the time that you enter a college, when you start facing the world. Because until the school, I think all of us have very nice people around us. They all are friends. We get a lot of love and affection from our classmates, right? And we're all kids, right? So we're still growing, learning things. And even if we do something wrong, we might be forgiven for that, right? When we enter the college, that's the time reality hits you,
Yeah.
and you come across a whole world of people looking at you. So I'll say the moment you start gearing up, or even when you start your college, there's a time we should get concerned about what somebody else, how are they looking at us, how are they taking up us to be. And that's where the building of the first impression starts. But I'll say when you are really going for a corporate job or for the very first interview, you should very well work on this, as a homework. How am I going to introduce myself? How am I going to dress up for my very first interview or interaction? And what would I want somebody to think or look at me as the very first image of me?
Yeah.
So, starting from very early in the college, but definitely the moment we're able to hit the corporate world for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like again a journey, I think,
Yeah.
that you need to be in so that you can be best when it's the time.
Yeah, and I think it's a starting point.
Hmm.
While first impression is a starting point for a lot of things, it is a journey that you learn how to create a
Hmm.
very good first impression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree, because that's again something which not only I think not only matters in professional world but everywhere we go. Like
Yeah.
image and first impression is something that is like a psychological part of the brain, and that's happening everywhere you're going, right?
Very true. Very true.
So yeah, let's like I would like to like break it down a little bit and want to understand that from a hiring stake from the point of view of a hiring stakeholders, what are the top three elements that shape a strong first impression according to you and your experience?
I'll so as a hiring leader or as a recruiter for such a long time, I'll always give a lot of weightage to the first impression. And for me, it comprises not just of the way you look, the way you ready yourself for that D day, the way you prepare for that particular interaction, the way you dress up for that particular day, and the kind of homework that you do. It all comes to create a very good first impression. So it will be, you getting ready for the day with the best of your, understanding of the interaction, and it varies from a place to place, interaction to interaction, right? You don't want to dress up for a date the way you would dress up for an interview,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So understanding the value of that particular interaction and in an interview in this case, that I'm referring to, a very good profile, a very good homework on the company and the opportunity, a well-dressed personality, and a lot of energy level, which should come out of you, right? So it's also a body language that you portray or you
Yeah,
present yourself with.
yeah.
These are a couple of things that really help you create a very good first impression.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's very handy. And the good part is that we all can build this.
Yeah.
We all can learn this. These are all skills that can be learned. So that's the good news. And the best part that we have these handy tips that can be applied. So moving on to the next one is, can you can you share an example from your past experience where first impression was like, it was something that make or break the opportunity situation for in any of your experience you would like to share with us?
I come across these instances almost every day, and I'll come across candidates who would have learned the company, the revenue of the company, the vision of the company, the purpose of the company, the purpose of the profile that they're being interviewed
Yeah.
for. They'll even go to the depth, they will have gone through my LinkedIn profile to know more about me. Which college do I come from? So that always helps you to break the ice. Also, it shows your effort that you have done for that particular position and opportunity, which again shows you as a very sincere applicant, right? And that leads to a very positive start to an interview. So I would have cases where people have really done such a good homework, Also, I would have cases where people just forgot all about it. And again, the very important part of creating a very good first impression is always reach before time.
Yeah.
We all get stuck in traffic, but when you're going for an interaction, which is so important, or for a career opportunity, please reach early, reach very well dressed. When I say well dressed, means something that makes you feel more confident. You
Yeah.
know, do a very good homework about your own pitch, your own introduction, a 30-second, very crisp elevator pitch. Also about the interviewer, about the company, about the opportunity. I think these are some of the things that comprise into a very good first impression.
Wow, I'm sure that must be very interesting when you witness such, you know, it's beautiful, right? Like how being at the backside, you are able to just decipher everything by the first few 20-30 seconds what a person is saying. That's so interesting. So yeah, I think you this was very much spot on what matters and what we can do to make it best, right? So okay, I think we can now move again, breaking it down a little more deeper and going like what non-verbal cues do HRs pick up often and almost instantly whenever they interact with any candidate. So what are those non-verbal cues which are like instantly picked, maybe subconsciously, but they are picked? So anything that you would like to share on that, maybe without even asking a question, it's just
So,
something.
Ruchi, the first thing that any candidate would do is shake a hand. The way you shake a hand, that starts creating the very first impression. The eye contact that you create while you talk, the body language that you portray when you present your thoughts. And we talked about the dressing, we
Yes.
talked about showing a very positive enthusiasm, a very good energy level
Hmm.
and confidence, obviously not overconfidence,
Hmm.
and a very good homework on the company, on the opportunity, and be genuine, be
Yeah, be
authentic,
authentic.
because if you don't know something, it's okay not to know something, but you should know that you don't know that. So nobody would know everything
Of course.
all the times. But if you don't know something, it's okay to say, I don't know because I never got an opportunity to learn this or work on this. But if given an opportunity, I would love to learn more on this. That also shows your growth mindset,
Yeah.
right? So these are some non-verbal cues: the way you dress, your eye contact, uh,
Handshake.
yeah, and the hygiene that you carry. You
Of
know,
course.
I have had cases where one of my candidate got rejected in the very final round, and he was shortlisted out of another 20 candidates. He was rejected because he came from a faraway place in a bus or somewhere in hot summers of Delhi. Uh, and I asked my interviewer, why this person got rejected. He seemed to tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
We had great feedback until this final round of discussion. And I still remember the word that my leader said, that Ramit, he wasn't hygienic enough. When
Yeah.
I probed deeper into it, what do you mean by that? Then he said he was sweating, he was stinking. And I tried to convince my stakeholder that, hey, he came from a long away, long distance, and he maybe came in a bus, and in scorching summers of Delhi. It's obviously okay for somebody to sweat. And he said, Ramit, he has to work in a team.
Yeah.
If I cannot stand or sit next to him, how would his team work with him?
Yeah.
And then I realized the value of this. I mean, that's what is readiness for that opportunity or getting ready for that moment. We all will work with a lot of people in
Hmm.
various teams in a corporate environment. If people don't feel comfortable working with us, how would we get productive as a team? How
Yeah.
would we collaborate as a team?
It's also, yeah, very rightly said. I think it's also about respecting the entire team as a
Yes,
team
yes, yes,
and being mindful about every member.
yes,
So,
yes, yeah.
and it's like love it or hate it, but it matters. The
It
the
matters.
truth
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it matters.
yeah.
So,
And it also shows your concern for others, right?
yes,
For the
yes.
space of others, for the
Considerations.
comfort of others, for the convenience of others. It also shows in a way that you care for other people in
Hmm.
your team, you
Hmm.
know. So
Yeah.
by default, it's a leadership attribute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, I think one of the important factors which I always talk about, I believe we also talked about it in the previous podcast about personal branding and executive presence, that grooming plays a very important role in the entire presence of yours, and not only when you're going to office or a meeting, but I believe most of the times, even if you're with your loved ones, grooming just comes on top
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
So it's super important. All right, so next one would be again something based out of your real time examples, that what stand outs in a candidate's impression, especially during hiring, apart from the so for example, someone is there, they have a great resume and skills, and I know you mentioned this, but what is it something which really stands out above the skills in some candidates, if we talk about the presence, like maybe some example or something, proactiveness? Because there's one example that I would like to share with you. So when I joined, when you were there, so one thing I asked our manager, that what was one thing that so he was giving a feedback to all of us that why they hired us. So one thing that he mentioned to me was he liked my proactiveness, that even in my college I was doing internships which was not needed, but it was something that showed that I'm eager to step out of the comfort zone. So these are the things which stand out else than your skills, right? That is how I got to know the value of it. So is there anything like this, not like this, but anything else that you would like to share that really stands out when you are a candidate or you are a professional stepping into any opportunity?
I think you answered this before you asked me this question, but taking ownership for your tasks, for your decisions, even for your faults and errors and mistakes, right? It obviously will stand out in any situation, in any team, and even before joining or even after joining a team or a company. So accountability, ownership, do can you really take a feedback? As I said,
Yeah.
nobody will know everything, but and we all will be doing some errors sometimes or many a times, but do we learn from those errors?
Yeah.
Firstly, do we take a feedback if something has gone wrong and we say that yes, I'm committing that I'm not gonna repeat the same mistake again. So these are some of the traits that actually outshine others. Even when you interview somebody, they might give a wrong answer, but are they able to accept that wrong answer and take a feedback to correct it next time? So ownership, accountability, taking a feedback, and I think for me personally, gratitude is
Ah.
a very rare attribute, but I think very, very much required for any team, for anybody in our personal as well as professional space.
Yeah, yeah. So these are some, I would say, like some inherent and soft skills that's so important, because they combine, like these skills combine with the skills to come out as a holistic
Of
personality.
course, yeah.
Because again, we have to work with humans. We don't have
Yes.
to work with
Yeah,
machines.
yeah.
So we need to have those humanly attributes. And uh, I think you answered it very beautifully, like putting it exact keynotes, what all things can be
Yeah,
worked on
yeah, yeah.
and what all really matters.
Of course.
So yeah, I think we talked a lot about your about how I mean, about the first impression and what actually gets noticed. I think we can break down a little bit more into the corporate image equation. So, which is like directing it, especially because since you have years of experience into it, I think I would love to get some wisdom out of that too. So, in your experience, what defines a strong corporate image?
Somebody who can take people along,
Yeah.
get well, gel well in a team, work across diversity, include everybody around. And I think that's what is a growth mindset. When you align yourself to the enterprise vision or enterprise mission, and you believe that you're gonna make it work against all the odds, but taking everybody along. That's what defines the different speed and trajectory for your growth, in any corporate team, any company. And everybody wants to work with people
Yeah.
who don't give up so easily. So resilience becomes a very important part of
Hmm.
your growth. Then growth mindset, which is all about not giving up when you fail, or taking a feedback when you fail, or learning from when you fail. So these are a couple of attributes. And then being a good team player, being a people's person, even though you're a leader, ensure that you make everybody feel very, very important in your team
Yeah.
when you lead from the front. These are some of the things that really define you and define your growth very differently from others. And I think these are the people who finally become the leaders for the team.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, the collaborate. What is your leadership style? I mean, I would love to know. What is it? Something that uh, that just defines you as a leader.
I think, in a nutshell, I'll say when we succeed, I put my team in the front. When we fail, then I say this is what I need to fix, for me and for my team. As long as you share the wins with your team, and you own the mistakes for your teams, you'll always get a very good feedback from the people that work with you. And you might be very senior, you might reach certain levels in your career, but never forget the people who help you reach there.
Yeah.
I learned that very early in the very early part of my career from my mentors, my managers. And one thing that I still carry along with me is, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Oh, wow.
So that is one thing that used to be my tagline, my status for a long, long time. Used to be my email signature for a long, long time. I learned that from my very first manager, and I'm still in touch with him. I still get inspired by him.
That's so deep. I mean, that one line says so much about you as a person, of course, and about like how important that is
It
to
is, yeah, it
to
is.
yeah. No, I just got curious because this was something which I didn't plan to ask, but thank you for answering. I think that was something that I just got intrigued while you were mentioning about things. So yeah, we talked about the corporate image in the offices and the physical when it's about one-on-one presence. But we all agree that after COVID, especially, things have moved remote. A lot of aspects, on a lot of aspects, meetings, even leaders are leading remotely, right? So, how has the shift to hybrid and remote changed how people are perceived? Like now, we all agree that when it is in person and when it is virtual, things are different, right? Lot is going at the back. So, what we as individuals, or rather let's put it this way, that what you from the other side, like from the from hiring aspect, what matters then in the hybrid and how the shift has happened or impacted.
I think all of us learned how to deal with it, and the maximum learning that has happened in the last couple of decades has been in
Yeah.
the pandemic, or COVID, for all of us. And with the virtual world taking over everything, even now most of the companies allow people to, and we all allow people to work from home, because we know that is something which is critical to be,
Yeah.
and flexible. But what I also learned, the hard way, was when you meet somebody personally, you have your entire opportunity of carrying yourself, showing the way you dressed up. Your entire body language helps you
Hmm.
create a good impression. In the virtual world, you only see a face, or maybe the
Yeah.
upper part of your body. And most of the time, the camera is focused on your face. So it limits your opportunity to create a bigger impression or a better
Yeah.
impression through your entire body language. But it becomes all the more critical. What can all you do to
Hmm.
still create a very good impression? And I think some of the things that people have learned, and I personally guide people or request people is, or any candidate as well, ensure that you look as hygienic, as clean, as nice as you would have looked when somebody met you personally,
Hmm.
which means, again, joining a call before time or on time. Nobody wants to meet somebody who's not on time,
Yeah.
even virtually. Also, unless you have a challenge, don't switch off. I mean, don't keep your camera switched off, which is very, very important.
Hmm.
Most of the people do that mistake even today, even after learning it for so many years. When we connect virtually, it's important to open, or switch on the camera. Unless there is a tech issue, check your tech alignments before the call. It should not happen that the call started and you're still fixing your camera, you're still fixing the focus, you're still fixing the light,
Yeah.
you're still fixing the audio or video of your camera. Okay to say sorry, but nobody likes to see it frequently. So a couple of things. Also, when we work virtually, we tend to get distracted. You could
Yeah.
have somebody moving around in your room, you could have a kid, a pet roaming around. Ensure that you show that you are still focused on that call
Hmm.
and the objective of that interaction. So there are more chances of getting distracted when you work virtually, but I think there are ways to fix it, and I think it's all the more important to focus more on what are you presenting as an impression when you work virtually.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think just drilling it down a little bit, that it's more about being considerate, being mindful
Yeah.
about someone sitting at the other side, and
Yes.
also the one thing that you mentioned earlier, that being before time,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
applies here too. Being
Yeah.
before time, fixing up things, making sure that when you join the call, all is fixed. So even being before time is applicable 100% here too.
Everywhere it is applicable,
So yeah.
and people tend to do mistakes like they'll not have a nice camera or a nice light, which is important because you're ultimately portraying yourself as well as your company and your team and your function when you are presenting yourself, even virtually. So those are a couple of things that people have to be very sure of.
Sure.
Also ensure that it doesn't mean that you could wear anything or you could be absolutely casually or too casual about because you're working from home or you're doing a virtual. So if you're going for an interview, ensure that you still are able to show that readiness for the
Professionalism.
day. You still are able to show that yes, you are pretty hygienic and the most suitable candidate for that particular opportunity or conversation. Yeah.
And yeah, again, coming back, that it is possible. You can learn ways to be presentable and present the desired image even virtually. So
It is, and
that's
it should, because it's a flexibility that has been given to you, but doesn't demean or dilute your
yeah.
output or outcome.
True, true. No, I think this was a very important question, and you answered with all the very relevant pointers, because this is the need of the hour. Be working virtually and getting a close, close loop answer to it. That yes, it matters. With these aspects is something which is really helpful. So yeah, this is now it's more about you working with multicultural teams, because since you have worked with global teams and with multicultural teams, what across continents, I would say, across continents, across countries. So how does professional image differ in cultures, and what remains constant, if anything is there that remains constant? What's it that? And I know there could be a lot, but something that comes on the top of your mind.
See, firstly, we need to know that we all will have to work in a global environment. Someday, if you work for a good company, which means you'll have people in your team who could be spread across the world.
Yeah.
Somebody could be working from the US side of the world, somebody from Europe or APAC or anywhere. So you got to ensure, firstly, be aware, be
Yeah.
conscious that things would sound or expect differently to a different region.
Yeah.
What might work in India may not work with somebody working from US or from Europe or APAC. In India, we tend to be still very human, very emotional. We tend to set up a context before conveying a message.
Yeah.
While in the US, people love to be
Straightforward.
straightforward.
Yeah.
People love to be crisp. Same goes for European regions where again people might want to be formal, or APAC, or the other regions of near to Asia. So be considerate, be conscious of the fact that things would vary. If you got to work in a global team and a global culture, again prepare yourself, read about what would they want to be communicated, what style would work with them in the way you present yourself. And one thing that cuts across all the regions is, I think, the energy level, the niceness, the calm skills. You should have a clarity of thought, which works with everyone. And people would love to see you as an accountable person, which means that accountability, that ownership of what was given to you as a task, is what defines your overall persona and your personal branding and your impression as well. We all like to work with people who may not need reminders.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if something has been owned by me, it's my job to plan for it, work on it, deliver it, and then report back that it's been done. These are things which are common across all the geography. Then I think these are more of professional image or professionalism in fact, which is common across
Yeah.
all the regions. Yeah.
All right. I think we would move to the next segment. Now, we talked about the corporate image. We talked about first impression. We will drill down a little bit more into appearance in the role of appearance in the overall presence, because again, this is something where we speak a lot about appearance, as appearance is one of the major factors in the first impression image. So over to you, the first question, that, and which is more like tips for professionals, that in your experience, I think you spoke about it already, that how much does grooming and attire impact perception, especially in a in person or a hybrid setup? I think you already answered that part, the grooming, that it's very important to be hygienic, but anything else you would like to add on?
See, it's depends on every company's or organization's culture. What would they prefer you to be dressed after you have joined them?
Yes.
But when they come to interview you, it's important to be nice, decently dressed. Don't be too overloaded. Also, don't wear something that makes you unconscious. Wear what makes you more comfortable, more confident,
Yeah.
and presentable in your own way. Because everybody is different in their persona, and
Yeah.
all of us are unique in our own ways. So dress up well, dress up clean, dress up decently, dress up for the occasion, which makes you more confident. And I cannot change my face, right?
Yes.
Nobody can. I mean, but you can always present yourself as a clean, hygienic, nice person, right?
Professional. Yeah.
So I can still come out as a hygienic person. That's what people may like to
It's
work
true.
with.
True.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
which is always under our control, and I'm sure it doesn't cost much.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's a habit, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it can be learned anywhere and applied anywhere that we are in.
Yeah, and Ruchi, I think somewhere it all connects to your work ethics. I'll give an example which might sound very cheesy. Even though when I work from home, I wake up at the same time, I have the same schedule. I'll take a bath, I'll dress up, I'll still put a deodorant. I know nobody's gonna,
Wow.
but because
That's
that's
your.
my work ethic, that's my persona. I cannot sit in front of a camera and say I'll not switch on my camera because I'm not ready yet, while I join the call. They're not doing a favor to anybody. So these things finally will become a habit, but I think they're good habits, which will obviously take you farther, in the professional world.
And that's what we talk about majorly, that it's about self image too.
Yeah, yeah,
It's, see, presenting it to the world is one aspect,
very true.
presenting it to yourself is the first aspect. How you're presenting yourself to yourself, I think that only makes or breaks your day.
Very true, Ruchi. And I
Right.
think somewhere, and you said a very valid point, present to the world the way you would like or love yourself.
Yes,
Because
yes.
unless you love yourself, why would somebody else come and like you or love you or even hire you?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's so I love your idea of getting dressed even there and putting the perfumes. With this, I recall my father-in-law. So he used to work in government sector and he had this habit of being crisp, formal dressed. So even on Saturdays and Sundays, he would get up in the morning, he would get dressed, and we're like, Papa, where are you going? He's like, no, I'm not going. I'm just getting dressed. This is my habit. So I always used to find this very fascinating, but it's again something I again found very fascinating. It's a discipline too.
It is the
That,
discipline, yeah.
yeah, it's
And
something that it's tough to maintain, but
discipline is a very important part of professionalism.
yes.
My dad was in the paramilitary forces, and exactly the way you said, he would even on a weekend uh, get ready,
Yeah,
even to read the
exactly.
newspaper. He's not going to go anywhere, but that is his style of presenting
Yes.
himself to himself or maybe to
Yes.
his own family.
Yeah.
So being shabby, being lazy, it doesn't come naturally after a while, right? Because you've formed such a nice habit of not doing it,
Yes,
not
yes.
being it.
It's
Yeah,
just not a
yeah,
part of you
yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we have the answers around this, and we spoke about it earlier also. So we'll quickly jump into some quick actionable tips that you would give to young professionals walking into the interviews, like who are maybe freshly starting their career, first timers, or very new in their career. So, what are those like the quick actionable tips from someone so seasoned into hiring and leading that department?
See, when you apply for a very first job, and you're straight out of your college, the you'll have a lot of competition with others, even in
Yeah.
your own college, in your own batch. How do you come out differently?
Hmm.
And you'll always see that the top 20-30% are the, people shape up differently, come out
Yeah.
differently. They are the ones who really prep a lot for the opportunity, for the occasion. And first, even before they're going for an interview, they'll speak to themselves in the mirror. They'll check their own 30-second
The
pitch.
practice.
They will look into their own eyes and speak to themselves,
Wow.
create that eye contact, check on their own confidence, and keep on doing it unless they really get the best at it. So those things really come out in your interview. You'd have met the entire crowd, but some of them will really come out so confident, because they've practiced it so well,
Yeah.
right? Everybody went through the same course, same batch, same coaching, same learning, same syllabus.
Same.
Some of them would have put that extra effort. And I think any interviewer is going to look for the same persona who's going to put that extra effort when they get into a corporate situation or deliverable. It's a sign of you putting that extra effort, putting that extra step to make things work. So one thing is doing that good homework, creating that 30-second pitch, looking into your own eyes to know how to create a good eye contact, showing some very good, nice persona by being positive. And if you get stuck somewhere, how do you face that failure? How do you show that, yes, I'm going to fail, but I'm not going to give up? So a couple of things that really outshine or show you differently in the whole crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is prepping yourself on the company, as we talked about, on the opportunity, and maybe on the interviewer, because right now you could connect and see anybody on LinkedIn,
Yes.
And also, I think one thing that we should talk about and what's very, very important is how do you create your LinkedIn persona?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the way world would look at you. They would want to go through your thoughts, your posts, even your profile pic, your entire journey. So LinkedIn shows your life as it is, while a resume would only cover the journey, so far.
Yeah, in fact, this was a question that I had for you, but then
Okay.
that, in today's era, especially with things have changed so much, personal branding is like anything happening. So, how much does resume hold the weight versus how much does the LinkedIn profile hold the weight? And if both, then what's the relevance of each? So,
I'll say resume is important because it covers your educational or professional journey so far. It covers your assignments, right? It covers your tech stack or whatever experiences or responsibilities you have handled so far. LinkedIn is what you live as a life in the professional world. How do
wow.
you carry yourself in the professional world? What kind of messaging or narrative or what kind of post or comments you create for the rest of the world?
Yeah.
How well do you connect with others in the
Hmm.
world? What kind of thought process you carry? What kind of communities you join and contribute to?
Hmm.
So that's the second part of your overall persona, which is going to be all the more critical. So I'll say resume will get you shortlisted or get you a call for the interview. But before the final decision is made, most of the people will go through your LinkedIn profile.
Hmm.
Keep it very positive, keep it very impressive. Your profile should show you as a nice, positive, a good professional.
Competent.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so important. So now we have the answer that LinkedIn is equally important as the resume. And I think one important part is that it's not about faking or being someone else. It's about being your authentic real self in the professional world, but maintaining it in a professional manner over LinkedIn. So
Very
that
true,
is
Ruchi.
something which is
Yeah.
important, and I think we all should include this in our practice, because somewhere when we start, or initially we kind of used to ignore the LinkedIn profile, but nowadays it's super important. So yeah, that was one thing that I had for you. Thank you, you brought it up by your own. So okay, so now this one is for mid-level, mid-career, so someone in the mid-career or maybe senior professionals. How do you suggest they elevate their presence beyond a good resume? Because with experience, of course, a lot of things get add on, but then what is it something that can really elevate your presence as a senior professional?
How do you lead and contribute
Mm-hmm.
is what further defines your impression. And while the first impression is very, very important, But I think after joining a team, joining a company, or reaching certain level of middle layer of
Hmm.
corporate world, what footprints are you leaving?
Hmm.
Those become equally
What
important,
impacts you're making?
What persona, what aura, what vibe are you creating with your teams, with your stakeholders, with the people around you becomes all the more important,
Hmm.
And I think that's where it comes that first impression is first impression, but you can keep on working on it,
Yes.
and it will never be the final or last impression, Keep on working on it. It will also evolve the way we all
Hmm.
evolve,
Hmm.
It is connected to the way we evolve, the way our journey is. So keep on adding more layers, more positivity, more stars to this impression of yours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super. Again, I think it's a ever growing process
It is,
that
it is.
happens.
And as I said, the way you lead, the way you contribute, the way you appreciate, the way you connect,
All.
those are a couple of things that will always stay very important for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think again, I said that it's spot on. Nothing to follow up on. So yeah. What advice would you give for first impression checklist? So anything that you could give in, like, maybe five key tips, or like a quick tips in 10 seconds, something to get it right. What they would be?
Reach early,
Hmm?
prepare very well, dress up well for the occasion, uh, you know, uh, create a good eye contact,
Yeah.
carry yourself confidently, and finally, the most important one, don't give up if you fail.
Hmm.
Most
That's
of us will fail many a times,
yeah.
What do you do after failing is what defines your next victory.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's like a very handy checklist for all of us, for especially for the professional world, and when we are stepping into the interview or for any role transition. So one question which is for people especially who are aiming to transition into global roles. So what advice would you give to someone who are transitioning to global roles? How should they refine their image, or rather how should they be mindful about, because it's very important to be considerate about the culture. So what is the practice or maybe the approach that they can take?
Firstly, study the stakeholders, their profile, their persona, their thought process if you can, on LinkedIn or on social media channels. Also study the culture,
Yeah,
keep learning the culture of a
of the
new
place.
geography, especially if you have to go there or work with people from that geography. And be mindful of the fact that when you work across geographies, across cultures, you're just not representing yourself and your company, you're also representing India.
Country, yeah.
So for me, it's very important that whenever I interact with somebody, they should look up to me as a positive person. Because I'm representing India, they should live with a very good vibe,
Yeah,
with a very good feeling. Hey, I interact with somebody from that country and he was so nice.
yeah,
Maybe others are equally nice.
yeah,
So, and it's not difficult because we have all the access, all the data, all the information available. Doesn't take much time
yeah,
and effort, but provided you feel that it's very important.
yeah. It's the intent. You
It's the
need to have
intent.
that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
intent to.
And then the effort, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
All right, I think yeah, that's this was something which was very important, especially coming from you, because you have worked with teams who are working globally, maybe transitioning to global roles as well. So yeah, I think with this we have taken all the questions, and Ramit has answered all of them very spot on, as I'm always saying. So one question which is about your life. So if you had to sum up your career advice in one sentence for someone, like something that you have learned through your career experience starting today, what would that be? Like a crisp one.
I'll just repeat myself, or two things maybe, just not just one. So, as I said, nice to be important, but very important to be nice. And secondly, be grateful for what you got, and be grateful to the people who helped you reach wherever you are today. And it
Yeah,
goes for all of us, me, you, Ruchi, and everybody around.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, again, I think, yeah, yeah, you mentioned about the gratitude. It's so important, and it keeps you grounded
It
too.
is. And
And
yeah, and I think you grow as a leader when you start helping others get better in their life
yes.
and without taking a credit for that.
Hmm.
All of us have to work for our living, earn our living,
Hmm.
and we'll always work for our loved ones. But when do you start helping those,
Hmm.
who may not be in that close circle of yours,
Yeah,
and
that's
help them get better with your learning so that they don't do the same mistake to get the same learning that you got,
yeah,
with your journey.
that's more like a giving leader, I would say.
Yeah, and I think I took 20 years to be here. I would want my team members or people who work with me to reach far beyond this in just 10 years. That's what is the purpose of my learnings, and my leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I have been honored to work with you, and I think everyone, you, because this leadership not only makes you feel comfortable but brings the best out of any person, right? Brings the best out of any human of their potential.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna borrow that one sentence from you to even for communicating it to maximum people, because the one that you mentioned about the important being important is nice. So I think with this we kind of give a wrap to the entire session with a very quick rapid fire, which is like quick answers we would need from you. So your power color for interviews.
White and navy blue.
Okay. Underrated leadership trait according to you.
Gratitude. A lot
Okay.
of people are grounded uh, and they're leaders, but we intend to believe that leaders have to be very aggressive, very firm, very serious, very outgoing. For me, it's like if you're able to take people along, and appreciating them while they work with you, work for you, you're going to create a great team. And finally, it's a team that succeeds,
Yeah,
not just the leader.
yeah.
Yeah.
One word that defines a great hire for you.
Positivity
Wow.
or resilience or positivity. Yeah.
And your biggest interview pet peeve, something that really turns you off.
Being late.
Okay.
Yeah, rest all can be accommodated, but if you're late, and you'll have reasons for being late, but We all know how to avoid that. We all
Yeah.
know how to reach. And it's going to be boring when you reach before time. I've always believed in reaching time, which means I'll get bored because I'm the only one sitting there. But that's okay. I still will get that those brownie point that I was not late. I was before time. Yeah.
A book or person that shaped your leadership style, or anything that you inspired you.
I think there's a book which is a recent one, Leaders Eat Last by Simon, Sinek, and I think that's a very good book. Then there are so many books, that Wings of Fire by Dr. Abdul
Yeah.
Kalam, and I love to read whatever inspires me, irrespective of the language and the author, and then recently I read that Do Epic Shit,
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the books which inspire you, which also tell you that you'll fail many of the times,
Yeah.
but all those will collectively make you succeed someday. The learning from those failures.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think failures, which is like a very cliche, a proverb, but failures are the steps towards success.
They are. They are.
Until you fail, you won't know what doesn't work. So,
And you won't even relish the victory. You will not even appreciate the
Exactly.
victory. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So it's important
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, and virtual meeting green flag for you.
Not switching on the camera. I first switch on my camera, then I join the meeting. I expect the same from you unless there is something wrong on your side, which is absolutely not allowing you to open the camera. Yeah.
Most memorable first impression that someone made on you, ever. Something that you could
I
use.
went to a college for hiring, an engineering college, and that person, and I was there for the HR round when the people, the person has cleared all the technical round. That person has gone through my social media, and my LinkedIn profile. He knew my favorite song.
Oh wow.
And he himself was a singer. I made him sing that song,
That's
and he sang that song, So that shows the readiness, that the homework of that particular person. And I'll have so many such instances in my life all throughout, but I think that's what defines you separately,
and that
differently from
stays with you
others. Yeah,
forever.
yeah,
You're never gonna forget
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's such a nice icebreaker, I would say. All right, and I think what's one common myth about first impression you would like to bust today?
People believe that it cannot be fixed. You know,
True, true.
I do believe that you may or may not get an opportunity, but it still can be fixed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your go-to interview prep tip the most people forget. You think that most people forget or don't take it.
Study the profile before you get interviewed for. I
Yeah.
think we do a mistake that we believe that we know everything, and that's what will be asked in the interview. But I do believe that every profile, every JD is very different, and at least the JD for every company is going to be different, right? They would expect very different things in the same job description or a profile. Study the company, its purpose, its mission, and then connect it to the JD that you're being interviewed for, and then connect it to what you're bringing to the table. Those are the things that will come handy to you in the interview. Also, always ask some questions after the interview. Typically, we would want to end the interview believing that, hey, it's happening so good, going so good.
Yeah.
It finishes off and we say, let's get out of this place. But always keep some wise question that really show you and your further depth and curiosity for the role and opportunity.
Yeah.
Keenness for the role. Yeah.
That says a lot about
Yeah.
I think the enthusiasm and the readiness for the role.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And the commitment as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, and I think with this we kind of wrap this up because the last question that I had was LinkedIn or resume, which tells you more about a person and why. And you have beautifully answered that question before, which is that why resume and why LinkedIn and why both.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna make you repeat it, I'm sure. But yeah, I think with this we kind of end it, and it was a great pleasure and an honor to speak to you, Ramit. And thanks for sharing all the wisdom, and all these tips are, I think, gonna be really handy and come into the role if you want to step yourself a bit and move into the elevate yourself as a professional.
Thank you so much,
So
Ruchi, for having me here today. I learned a lot about personal branding, the value of personal impression and the first impression. Thank you so much.
yeah,
All
thank
the
you.
best.
Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.